Well, howdy there. 2 weeks ago, we got to have our first party at our new house. I was really excited to try out a new appetizer for our guests. Now, I had been at the outing club and they had this cheese ball, and we had a few bites of it, and it was so good. There were very clean and bright notes of like horseradish that almost gave that wasabi burn, but was really kind of toned down because of the various cheeses that were in it. So we just went crazy about it. And I was gonna ask the chef, and I asked Sarah down at the club, I said, hey, do you remember this? And they didn't. So I went down a rabbit hole, looked for a few recipes, found some, but they didn't seem to hit all the right notes. And what I found is that they were a little bit timid about incorporating some of the spice that I was looking for. Now, the cheese ball that I had previously at the club, they had coated it in almonds. I thought that was great, but wasn't really kind of my variety. I like for things to be incorporated so that you're getting a lot of what you want in every bite. This is dedicated to Emily, Krista, Holly, Lisa, and I hope you enjoy. You've asked me for this recipe, so here it is. It should only take about 15 to 20 minutes to make. It makes generous portions the way I choose to serve it. There is, obviously, you've had it at the party. They went like hotcakes, or the equivalent of fast-going hors d'oeuvres. I guess the gold standard would probably be a deviled egg, because those things go like crazy, which also, super cool. This cutting board holds 30 deviled eggs on the other side. I thought that was so awesome. We used 2, and they were empty by the end of the night. Actually, rather quickly, so that's cool. But I was so glad to hear from so many of our guests that they enjoyed them and they asked for the recipe. So here it is. Again, it's going to be creamy, it's going to be bright, there's a good amount of spice, and adjust that as you feel makes sense for you. I enjoy a lot of spice, and something that we actually chose to add was this. I've never had this before. It's pronounced Boetjes, or we say Boetjes for fun. But this is a Dutch-style ground mustard, and this was established in 1889 right across the river in Rock Island, and it is so good. This stuff is so addicting, and crazy enough, so started in 1889. It's actually a few years younger than this house. Is that right? Oh no. Okay, never mind. Started in 1889. This is actually only a few years older than my house, which was built in 1893. But the stuff is great. And apparently, according to their history, the founder of it, a Dutch immigrant, we love immigrants, a Dutch immigrant would go door to door and fill up people's containers for a nickel. I think that's so cool. Anyway, this stuff isn't very expensive, but it is fantastic. And if you're anywhere in the Quad Cities, it's bound to be on the menu in one way or another. So incorporating a little bit of Boetjes, we've got some horseradish, some Kirkland cream cheese, but use your favorite cream cheese. We have some nuts today. I actually am going with walnuts that I will be toasting and chopping, some green onions, and we're gonna have 3 different types of cheeses. This is gonna be really easy to make. I've allowed my cream cheese to soften for about an hour, so it should be a little easier to work with. All you really need, I'm going to be using a planer, but if you have another way to grate cheese, fantastic. Now, I do prefer the planer because it produces a really fine grate of the cheese, and that's going to make it really easy to incorporate into this and really give us that great flavor. Now, I can suspect comments from Andrea, Nicole, and Lady about how men of my age just think that they're supposed to do these, and the truth is that when you own a Victorian house, they force you. The queer tribunal gets together and they say, you haven't submitted a recipe this month. So, they bend my arm backwards. I go, ow, you're hurting my arm, and now I'm here. So, hope you enjoy. So, I'll go over all the ingredients as we prepare them. I'll also drop them in the description below. Shouldn't cost you a lot, and it makes a lot. And this is also an appetizer that is quite presentable when done well. You can definitely zhuzh it up or zhuzh it down, however you like, but it's tasty, and I can't wait to hear what you think. So first thing I'm going to do, and on pretty medium to low heat, actually pretty low heat, I'm going to toast about a half cup of some already halved walnuts. Just going to keep that low, might even turn it lower, and just give those a good toast. I'll let that sit for about 5 minutes, just shaking it, and see how that comes out. All right, so along with the cream cheese, I have 2 blocks here of 8 ounces. You could do more, you could do less, just adjust with whatever's going to work for you or how much you need. I'm also using Cabot's seriously sharp cheddar. It's got a pretty intense flavor for a cheddar, but we're not here to be basic, so we're cool with that. Now, oh my gosh, that's so good. Okay, on top of this, we're going to be using we're using some, gosh, my mouth is watering, some Parmigiano Reggiano, and I got this from Kirkland, great price on it. Another thing, you see here that I'm using some plastic bags for my cheeses. You shouldn't do that, especially if the cheese has a lot of moisture in it because it promotes mold. So, you know, actually wax paper or parchment paper is going to be better for that to maintain the integrity of the cheese. Just a pro tip. So with these blocks of the cheddar and the Parmigiano Reggiano, I'm going to be doing about 3/4 to a whole cup of the Parmigiano grated. And then for the cheddar, I'll be doing about a cup to a cup and a half. Now, just work with what you have, of course, but I find that those proportions have worked pretty well for this, and adjust to your, you know, your liking as you see fit. So first things first is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get these cream cheeses open. A good firm, or stiff, I should say, spatula is going to be your best friend for this recipe, and I have one right here. Also, shout out to Laura Liebowska for making me this really cool little apron. She knows I like to cook, so I appreciate that. So again, I'm going to do about 3/4 of a cup to a full cup of this Parmigiano Reggiano. I really like the flavor it adds to it. This particular cheese has a really great flavor, and you know, hey, if all you have is the one in the green bottle, I get it, but do yourself a favor. You know, these blocks, at least they're real cheese. Their origin is controlled by the Italian government, so you know you're getting what you're getting. And a lot of the American ones, you'll notice that cellulose is an ingredient on them. It's an anti-caking agent, from what I understand, but it's made from wood. And though we love wood and all that nature provides, cheese should just have cheese in it. It's pretty. Damn, that cheese is good. This block, it was huge. It did not set me back a lot. I picked it up from Costco, but use your favorites. Make this your own. That's probably close to 2 cups. You are more than welcome to measure this. Mmm, so yummy. Look at all that cheese. And I think we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and just incorporate this right into the rest. So now we have our Parmesan. We have the 2 blocks of cream cheese. We've got a nice little cheese party. But it's not as interesting as I'd like it to be. So we've got a few more things to add to this. For a little extra flavor, I'm going to chop up some of these green or spring onions and get them pretty fine. But I'm going to go ahead and add some green from these onions. They're going to add a nice little brightness, a little spice. These are not, in my opinion, the freshest, so I feel like their spice is going to be a little bit dulled. But I'm going to go ahead and add these in. Some of that parsley as well. Now for this, I'm not adding very much, as you can see, just kind of a pinch that I can mix into there. Additionally, we're going to be adding some salt and some pepper. That is going to be 100% to your taste. Now, of course, you can just use regular table salt or any other salt that you like. I have been on a Celtic salt kick lately. This stuff, a little bit, goes a long way. Now, I also have my toasted nuts, so I'm going to go ahead and just give those a little bit of a chop. I want a good chop on these because, well, so you get a little bit of that nuttiness and that crunch in every bite. So again, I have prepared, this is about a half cup of these walnuts. Chop them up. You don't want to use nuts, don't use nuts. A lot of the recipes that I saw, again, they mixed it, they rolled the cheese ball into the nuts to kind of give it that real pretty shell. But the way that we're serving this, that's not necessary. I'd rather it be incorporated properly into our glorious mixture, which currently looks like this. All right, so now that we have this gorgeous mixture, go ahead and break it up to start incorporating everything. But it's time for the real star of the show. No, I don't mean me, because I'll never be a star. But instead, what I do mean is the Inglehoffer creamy style prepared horseradish, as well as some of our local favorite Boetje's mustard. Or Boetje's, please correct me, multiple worldwide award winner, something, again, I'll never be, but one can hope. So I am going to put a rather hefty or generous proportion. We don't use the word hefty in food. So a generous proportion of this, probably about 1/3 of a cup to 1/4 cup, and that is quite a bit. But we'll start off with 1/4 cup of this. If you have a tiny silicone spatula, those things are so great. But I'm going to be adding, like I said, about 1/4 cup. 1/4 cup to a lot of people might sound like a very generous amount, but this cream cheese is really going to balance it out in such a way that you'll have that spice. And please, if you are uncertain about adding 1/4 cup, just mix this all together, add some, mix it for a good minute or two, and take some sample bites, because who doesn't love a sample bite? So I'm going to start off with 1/4 cup of this. Again, that's a very generous amount. I'm okay with that. That's so much horseradish, but I got my 1/4 cup. I'm going to go ahead and just plop that right in. I hate the word plop. I'm going to go ahead and pour that right in. Plop is such a nasty word. I don't know. Anyway, so I got that 1/4 cup in, and I'm going to go ahead and just start incorporating that into our mixture. And it should have a kind of creamy, crumbly texture to it. And you just got to keep working it. The spatula, if you want to start off with a different type of spatula, or if you even want to use a type of stand mixer, I think you could. If you try that, let me know. But I'm just going to start mixing that and incorporating it. I can smell the horseradish. It smells so good, so spicy. Your sinuses will thank you. And if you have tears of joy from this, let me know. If it's just the horseradish, please don't. But just kind of churning and burning. We have our Boetje's, and if you want to kind of mix up the proportions on that, use less horseradish or more, or use more of the stone ground mustard, feel free to do so. All right, so for the Boetje's, I'm going to be using about 1 tablespoon. This is a clean spoon. So, yep. 1.5. It's healthy. Ooh, it is going to be so spicy. All right, let's get that all mixed in. So again, we're just incorporating this. Because we allowed our cream cheese to soften, this is really easy to work with. So now we have the Boetje's, the horseradish, we've got the Parmesan, we've got the cream cheese, we've got the sharp cheddar. It is so smooth. And again, a silicone spatula is going to be your best friend here. I'm already starting to work it into a kind of ball shape, but I'm just kind of playing with it right now. The last thing that we're going to add, which is completely optional, is some bacon. Now, I think a thick cut is a good crispy thick cut will add some crisp and some chew to it. If you want to use real bacon bits, that's cool. If you want a vegan option, of course, you have the soy-produced bacon bits, but you can leave it out altogether. Once we add that, now I'm aware that it's going to add quite a bit of saltiness to it, so I added a pinch of salt earlier, but now that I incorporate this bacon into it, which I actually really do enjoy, from that point, we'll evaluate if we need to add any more salt. So, kind of sprinkle it in and test it as you want. We are going to have a fresh element to this today with some bright crispy radish that's going to go on top of our little bagel bite. So take that into consideration as well. So I'm going to add about a half cup of these real bacon bites into this. Again, it's very optional. And just continue to work for a few minutes to incorporate all the flavors. All right, so I'm gonna give it a quick little taste. Mm, that's right. I've got a little crunch from the walnuts. I've got the savory aspect of the bacon. There's a little chew there. It's bright. It's really tart. My mouth is watering. Um, I think it could use a additional pinch of salt. Now, if you didn't want to use the salt, you could add a little bit more of the Parmesan. Yeah, so I think it's great. It's nearly perfect. I'm gonna add a little more pepper, but a little pinch of salt, a little more Parmesan, or if you wanted to make it very meaty, then you could add some of your bacon as well. But the horseradish is good. It's bright, it's strong. I don't find it overpowering, but this is the kind of flavor I like. You're here, so trust me on this. Great. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and slice up some of these radishes. So growing up, I didn't really ever, I don't feel like radishes were really in the house, but I've come to really enjoy them. When I had this, I was like, gosh, it really needs a crisp crunch to balance out how creamy and smooth and savory this is. So I was like, oh, what about a cucumber? But I didn't like that there was going to be so much water content, even if you were using something like an English cucumber. So I thought, why not try these radishes? They're good, they're crisp, they're in season. So why the heck not? I did find I used a mandolin the first time and they were too thin. And they're so small, you have just a few, slices before you have to go on to the next one, and there's a little bit of food waste there. So I found cutting them and relatively thick. Adjust that to your needs. I'm going to be serving them on top of these organic everything bagel chips. They're a decent size. They're not the smallest thing, but I guess they're standard cracker size. Can I say that still? No? Okay. They're standard cracker size, and we'll be putting a medallion or a quarter style of radish on top of that, and then using a melon baller to scoop these chilled a while. We'll be using a melon baller to scoop that and place it on top of the radish chip, giving you a very pretty little appetizer that's relatively easy to make. So now that I have it into a semi-ball shape, I'm going to go ahead and put it into either some plastic wrap, some saran wrap, some wax paper, some parchment, and just close that up good and stick it in the fridge to cool for about an hour or two. We want it to chill, and so it hardens up just a little bit, but also all those fats are going to start pulling those flavors together, and it's really going to give us something good. So once that's done, I'm going to pull it out, use the melon baller, and start scooping that onto our everything bagel bite cracker thingies. There's so many different ways to do this. You can use these types of reusable, washable beeswax wraps that they can use. And I'm just kind of trying to get it into a general shape. There we go. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and wrap that all up. I'm going to have to use more than one strip. That's all right. Kind of get that into a good little bottle shape. Look, Ma, it's a cheese ball. All right, so I have washed and trimmed off the edges of these radishes. And again, I'm going to go ahead and cut these into slices that are just a little bit on the thicker side. And I want to do that again so that we get that good crunch. It's crisp, it's fresh, it has such a unique flavor. I can't believe I lived my life without radishes. They're so good. But I'm going to set these aside and just cut a few good slices, medallions. I'm going to be adding one each to these bagel chips. So I got the radishes prepared, and this is the brand of bagel chips that I got. I picked these up from Costco. There's quite a few in there. really affordable, but if you have a preference, go with that. They're not tremendously salty, which helps out with this recipe because they got a good crunch to them without, too much flavor. Also, shout out to my grandma Linda who sewed this table runner the day of the 4th of July party. So thanks, Grandma. This is going to be a very simple and straightforward assembly. Let's hop into it. All right, so I'm taking a stainless steel melon baller. There are probably other tools that would work for this, but it's easy as you can imagine. You're going to take a bagel bite. You're going to grab the cheese, kind of just get a good little half cone of it. Place a radish on top, just like that, and that. And then you have that. Perfect. You got your cream cheese, your crunch, and your bagel bite. Easy bin, bagel chip. Come through. Get yourself a good little half scoop of it. Place your radish chip. Cute as can be. That's when it's not going to come out, but there you go. Helped it a little bit with my thumb. Perfect. There you go. So let's just go ahead and get the rest of these done and call it a day. All right, so I have a few here assembled and didn't take long at all. Now, if the cheese ball had chilled a little bit longer, I think it'd be easier to scoop, but I also added a little bit more cream cheese than I think I normally have previously. So they look great, they are simple. You can garnish this with additional pepper, some paprika, maybe a little parsley if you want to add some, the more visual interest. Also potentially some sesame seeds. So have fun with it. Make it your own. They are great, and if you have them at a party, they are sure to go gone. Good God. Great flavor. It's nice, it's bright, a little spice, kind of builds. Oh yeah, that's good. That's so good. The first time that we had these, I made like 12. And Darren and I ended up sampling about 30. But in this house, we count smiles, laughters, and friends, not calories. So it don't matter too much. But yeah, try it out. Let me know what you think. Enjoy. And if you have any improvements, just add them down below so I can figure out how to make this even better. Thank you.